Welcome back to Portugal in the Circuito de Estoril. 5 races down, 1 to go, and it's time for the stock class to strut their stuff around this 4.1 kilometre, 2.5 mile circuit, steeped in history, of course. 13 turns, 9 right, 4 left. It ends with the Ayrton Senna Parabolica, the long right-hander that seems to go on forever, and then it powers you down the near kilometre-long front straight. Bit of everything in this track, tight and twisty technical bits, fast-flowing corners, along straights, plenty of passing manoeuvres, of course, as well. A shortened race distance coming up for the stock class, as we've seen across today, with weather conditions at the start of the day causing a bit of havoc for the organisers. It was foggy, it was misty, it was rainy, it was properly miserable earlier on. Thankfully, it has cleared up in the last few hours, and we've got a couple of dry races under our belts. I suppose you could say 3 dry races, with the JuniorGP race just about getting away with a dry race. Some different tyre selections for JuniorGP, adding to the spice of that championship. Fantastic racing across the board. A couple of wet races earlier on. Wet races weren't a thing though over in Misano. This is what happened in the stock class at round 1. Lorenzo Della Porta on the number 48 started from pole position. A few riders unfortunately crashing out early doors on the opening lap in Misano. A fantastic battle at the front forms though. But this crash unfortunately brought out the red flags. Thankfully the rider and bike were relatively okay. Rider certainly all okay. And this was the restart. Della Porta started from the second after having to take a long lap penalty in race 1. Iozzo started from pole, the South African rider on the number 13, and that was how it finished. Lorenzo Della Porta just pipping Dino Iozzo to the win over in Misano on home turf. Lorenzo Della Porta winning at home. What's going to unfold this time around? Dino Iozzo, of course, finishing 3rd, I am mistaken. Andy Verdoya finishing a close 2nd. 0.072 seconds, splitting them at the line. More of the same in a few minutes' time, please, for the stock class. Qualifying yesterday was wet, and it was a closely fought qualifying session as well. The top 4 split by less than half a second in the tricky conditions yesterday afternoon. Ever since we landed here, myself and Chris Jordan in the box, it's been pretty miserable weather, unfortunately. Next week it's going to be beautiful blue skies, late 20s degrees. Superb weather for motorcycle racing. Before we got here as well, it was nice weather. Thankfully it has cleared up, as I say. This morning it did look like we were in for a full day of wet weather running, which on one hand can be good. It can provide good racing and different competitors at the front, some different results than you'd expect, but it has dried up. It does dry up very quickly here in Estoril. We've had no rain for the last 3 or 4 hours now, so as I say, 3 races done in pretty much dry conditions, and now it's time for the final race. And your pole sitter is Dino Iozzo on the number 13 machine. Podium Motorsports from South Africa, and here is what he had to say after qualifying.
Today there was very different with the weather, some rain, then with the fog, but all in all, we knew we would have a good bike setup for today. I'm very confident in the wet, and it was just about building lap after lap, so very happy with today. Tomorrow we will see what the weather is doing, but dry or wet, we are ready. I would definitely like for P1. That is what we want. But yeah, we're just looking for more points to take home. This is the championship. It's only 7 rounds, so every point matters. So we will try our best to maximize the points for tomorrow.
Good to hear from Dino Iozzo there then. There was his time at the top of your page, a 2:06.99 in the wet conditions. Of course, yesterday afternoon puts the number 13 rider on pole position. He was P4 last year in the stock class, the inaugural season of the stock class as a separated entity to the Moto2 European Championship. They used to race together in the same races and qualified together. But after having a lot of entries last year, a lot of people trying to race. They decided to make it a separate class for 2023 and of course continued into 2024 as well. So Dino Iozzo P4 last year and he finished P3 4 times, and he's added a 5th to that after his P3 in Misano. So he'll be hoping, I mean he'll be happy with a P3 of course, but hoping he can potentially finish a little bit higher, especially from pole position.
Iker Garcia then wishing a happy Mother's Day to his beloved mother. Very sweet tribute. And he is a rookie in the class starting from P2. Keep an eye on the number 11. He was P11 in Misano, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do from the front row. European Talent Cup rider way back in 2017 and 2018. He actually won a race in Catalunya then, while he had a stint in World Supersport as well. Now, speaking of riders who have won races, Lorenzo Dalla Porta, Moto3 World Champion in 2019. We've seen him mixed series, we've seen him Moto2, Moto3 over the last couple of years, and World Supersport. He was the Misano race winner. He did that from pole position. He's on the front row today, so he'll be looking to at least be on the podium, you would imagine.
Yeah, good to see Lorenzo Dalla Porta going well in the stock class. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Riders who have had some doors closed can come to the Junior GP paddock and hop on a stock bike or a Moto2 European Championship bike, and alongside World SBK potentially as well, get some good racing under your belt and continue career. So good to see Lorenzo Porta doing well in the Junior GP paddock. P4 on the grid is Adrian Rodriguez, the FS Racing rider from Spain. He was 7th last year, 103 points, a best of 4th place was picked up in Valencia at the end of the season. Finished 5th in Estoril, did Adrian Rodriguez this time last year. Scored points too in every race of the season. So a consistent rider, Adrian Rodriguez, now just needs to potentially add podiums to that resume. He'll be hoping to do so on the number 44, the young Spaniard, and he only finished outside the top 10 twice last year as well. So a really solid effort in his opening stock season last year for Adrian Rodriguez. Now it's time to make the next step.
Yeah, Rodriguez, I managed to commentate on a few races of his last season, and he was always thereabouts in contention. However, Misano, opening race of this season, didn't end too well for him, crashing out of the podium battle. We saw a couple other riders there who will be joining Rodriguez on the second row. One is the podium finisher, number 25, Andy Vordoya. Podium finisher from Misano. P2, he had a great battle with Lorenzo Dalla Porta, and he launched it from P5. Looked a real talent, and it caused Dalla Porta a big headache and a lot of problems in Misano, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do from the second row. Alex Millan then is another returner, number 23. He's on the outside of row 2. He has a podium he was on the podium here 12 months ago, picked up a P3 in Estoril 2023. That remains his best result in the stock championship. Tailed off a little bit last season. After that, brilliant opening day result. Of course, the opening day of the season was held in Estoril last year. We kind of expected Millan to fight a little bit more at the front, but he tailed off and ended up P8 in the championship. So a chance for him to rediscover that form that makes him one of the top riders in this championship.
Just saw Borja Gomez spearheading row 3, the Spaniard on the FAL 55 Tay racing machine. Finished 7th last time in Misano, 4 seconds off the victory over at the Misano World Circuit. Marco Simoncelli, another returnee. His only points last year came in Barcelona when he finished 7th. So Borja Gomez, the Spaniard on the 91 machine, will be hoping he can have a PB finish. If he can equal P7 or beat it, then that'll be a job well done for Borja Gomez. From row 3, Francisco Ruiz on the number 26. We saw in the middle of the third row, he's starting from P8. And Francisco Ruiz was 5th last time out in Misano, a top 5. A good result for the Spaniard on the DR Andifa team racing machine.
Mario Mayer, another returner, the 18-year-old, P4 in Misano. Picked up a nice healthy 13 points for his championship charge, number 82. Had a couple good races last season, but we're still awaiting to see him at the top of the field, indeed even inside the top 3. P6 in last year's championship, where Estoril last year was his best result in P4. He matched that in Misano. We're still waiting for that maiden stock podium.
There's Demis Mihala in P11, finished just inside the points over in Misano. Did the Italian on the number 89 machine, so what can he do from the middle of the 4th row? Focus in on the podium, so the pole sitter there. Do you know Iotso from South Africa? Can he win in the stock class? He was on the podium last time in Misano, got a little bit of a taste for victory, wasn't too far off, could see them just up the roads. Only 1.4 seconds off the win was Iotso last time out. A really good ride from the South African, but he'll be craving that victory, as he said, after qualifying.
Filip Rehecek, then the Czech rider. It's great to see, we've mentioned it a couple of times in the broadcast today, but the variety of nationalities that we are seeing here. Czech Republic, of course, has had its fair share of top riders. Rehecek hoping to emulate a few of them. So this is the Stock European Championship. It is our final race of the day. We've been treated to some absolute crackers today, including in the last race, the Moto2 European Championship. Not to give too much away, but it did end on a red flag. Just to update you, as we said we would, the riders involved in that crash, thankfully, are all okay and have walked away relatively unscathed.
Yeah, good to see then, and good to hear as well. Never nice to see a red flag, but good to see the riders are all okay after that one. Here is your grid then for the stock race here in Estoril. Iotso, Garcia and Della Porta are your front row. Rodriguez, Bedoya and Mian are row 2. Jimenez, Ruiz and Fabri is row 3. Row 4 is Mayor, Mihalia and Rajcek. Row 5 is Romero, McDonald and Garcia. Row 6 is Mario, Van Rosmalen and Roig. Row 7 is spearheaded by Brooks from Santos and Ribeiro, the Portuguese rider. Copper, Betin and Valle is row 8, and row 9 is Bevikia, Belladonna and Keshes from Hungary on row 9. And row 10 is Del Olmo, Rasa and Quintal. And row 11 is Nestoya and Orastugi. So, the final race of the day here in Estoril, the stock race. Qualifying was close, as I mentioned. Less than a tenth splitting Iotso and Garcia. A tenth and a half was Lorenzo Della Porta's deficit to P1. That was in the wet conditions, though, of course. So it's going to be interesting to see how the riders fare in the dry conditions. Chris, any early predictions for this one? We saw a very close battle over in Misano. Lorenzo Della Porta, the rider to beat heading into this one, do you feel?
Della Porta from the front row is going to be tough to stop, but Dino Iotso is an experienced rider here, starting from pole position. It would be hard to look past him, from my own personal opinion. Having managed to talk to a few teams, particularly last year, they all knew Eric Fernandez and Danny Munoz were going to be the top riders and pretty difficult to beat. So many of those teams were earmarking as Iotso as the benchmark to compare their riders to, as they grew accustomed to the stock championship. So we do mention Della Porta. He's already a world champion in his own right back in 2019, but Dino Iotso has the experience in the stock machinery here, and he is launching from pole. So at the very least, I'm expecting a good battle between Iotso and Della Porta.
Yeah, expect plenty of action to be coming here as well. Throughout the day, no matter what race or class we've been seeing, this is where a lot of the action has been taking place. As they climb back up the hill through turns 9 and 10, a very technical and twisty part of Estoril, one of the most technical parts on the entire calendar in the JuniorGP paddock. A really difficult section to get right, but it's also one that provides plenty of opportunities for manoeuvres to take place. So Expect action up at turns 9 and 10 as you come towards the end of the lap, but coming towards pole position is the number 13 of Iozzo. He'll be aiming to get a good start off the line and get the whole shot into turn 1 to make his life a little bit easier, but Garcia and Della Porta from that front row will be hoping to do the same as well.
So red flag out the front. Let's hope it's the last one we see today as we get ready to go racing here in the Stock European Championship Race 2 from Estoril.
Iozzo, sorry, he's just got to back it up slightly. He overshot his grid marker there on pole position, just getting a little bit too excited.
Does it count as a jump start?
Got a little bit loss of
Oh wow,
concentration.
he's gone very far over. That is less than ideal.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's going to be all
What's
okay.
he done there? How's he managed that?
Just a bit of a lack of concentration maybe at the start, but there he is. He's got it slotted into pole position now. Calm the nerves down, and we will be shortly racing for the final time today in Estoril. The red lights all come on, revs are rising, and we are underway for the stock class, and there was no mistake made there, was there, on the start? Iozzo got away superbly from pole position, and barring any late breakers down in turn 1, it looks like he's going to have the whole shot. As I say late breakers though, the number 44 is coming through of Rodriguez. Rodriguez then takes the whole shot into turn 1. Last of the late breakers was the Spaniard, and he pips Iozzo to the whole shot.
Yeah, brilliant start from Iozzo, off the line clearly. Not so much for Iker Garcia, he's already dropped down into 7th position. Adrian Rodriguez, P4 on the grid, is now P1, just what, a few corners in, coming through turn 4 at the moment. So, brilliant start from the Spaniard. Iozzo in 2nd, Lorenzo Dalla Porta is where he started in P3. Borja Jimenez has pushed his way up to 4th, with Ruiz Mayer also having good starts. Poor start for Iker Garcia. Andy Verdoy as well, not the best one. Alex Mian is dropping as well, down outside the top 10 now. So less than ideal starts for those 3.
Yeah, work to do for Verdoy then. Finished 2nd last time out. Only one of the Hondas up at the sharp end. There he is on the number 25 machine, Verdoy, up the inside of the 11 of Garcia. And he's making progress already, is Verdoy. So after a tricky getaway, Verdoy is making moves as we near the completion of lap 1. Rodriguez is off to a flyer. He's got into the race lead at turn 1, a brilliant start, and then he's gapped them by 6/10 of a second. However, drama potentially on the horizon. We were saying we didn't see rain for the last few hours, but they are the rain flags that have come out here in Estoril. So the riders have just got to be a little bit tentative. They'll see those flags and they'll probably know where the rain spots are falling. They'll see it on their visors. It looks all okay for now on our pictures, but that's just a little bit of a warning sign. So expect them to be a little bit more cautious than they would have been in the fully dry. You can see them there as well. So pretty much all the way around the circuit, it's potentially spitting with rain. Not sure how much at this stage.
Yeah, I had noticed that the sun had disappeared a little bit more. Not that it had been out all day at all, but darker clouds have emerged over the last few minutes, and it seems they brought the rain with them. Let's hope it's only at best a light spit of rain around pit lane, because it's been a dry track the last few hours and we've been treated to some amazing races. Now, looking ahead, we've got the number 44, Adrian Rodriguez. He's got Dino Iozzo hanging around the back of him. Iozzo is going to make that move, is he? Is he going to make it stick up the inside, late on the brakes? He gets it stuck. Brilliant stuff from Iozzo. Will he hold it coming around then? Turn 6. Iozzo is your P1 to P1 race leader. 48 of Lorenzo Dalla Porta now has got Adrian Rodriguez in his sights. Rodriguez might have to be looking backwards rather than forwards, because Dalla Porta is swarming all over his rear wheel right now as well.
Yeah, great move from Iozzo as Rodriguez lunges up the inside there at turn 9. Not going to get that move stuck there. He was a long way back to try that. Maybe the camera angle deceived us slightly as well, just taking a tighter line in there. But Iozzo then climbing his way to the front of this race, and when the rain flags are out, you normally potentially see riders sort of stick behind the race leader as Dalla Porta decides it's time for him to make a move up the inside of Rodriguez as well at the final corner. Taking an inside line was the number 48, and you can see the gap already that Iozzo has pulled out on this second lap, but Rodriguez gets the power down on the home straight to move back up into second place. But I'm pretty sure that Dalla Porta's going to make a move now. He thinks better of it down into turn 1, but Iozzo clearly feeling confident despite the rain flags to hit the front and set the fastest lap of the race. So the rain flags are out, but clearly not disturbing the riders too much at this stage.
Maybe in their thinking, they might have come across, you've seen the rain flag, so they want to get as good a position as possible should a red flag come out due to the weather conditions. If 2/3 of the race haven't been completely completed, that means that they will take the grid position from where they cross the line, whereas if it's 2/3 race distance completed, I'll be able to say completed by the end of the broadcast, I promise, but if it's 2/3, oof, that looks like heavy rain there, or maybe just some mist. So let's see what happens here, but if it's 2/3 race distance completed, then a result will be called. We've seen it already happen today, so Dino Iozzo on track is opening up quite a bit of a gap here. He's got nearly, 1.2 seconds to spare over Adrian Rodriguez. Lorenzo Dalla Porta in third position with Alex Millan up into fourth, Francisco Ruiz fifth, and Mayor in sixth.
I think it's definitely raining there as the race leader goes down. Dino Iozzo was just about to say it looked like it was definitely raining in that part of the area through turn 6 and down the hill into turn 7. They're going very tentative around the back end of this course as well. It's raining really heavily now at the far end of the circuit. Dino Iozzo has crashed high-sided out. I think this is going to be a red flag any minute now. Yeah, it is a red flag. So we have a red flag. We thought the rain was okay to start with at the first half of the lap. It was, but you could tell as they were breaking down into turn 6, the interior parabolica, they were going a lot slower than they were beforehand, and then they were negotiating turn 7 and 8 very cautiously indeed, and then climbing through 8 into 9 and 10, and in between 9 and 10 as Dino Iozzo, the race leader, tried to flick it right into turn 10. Over he went. Good to see he was back up on his feet, because that's a nasty one. Slow high sides can be the ones that get you injured pretty quickly, and he's got back up on his machine, so that's good to see for the South African. So he'll be able to rejoin when this race hopefully gets restarted sooner rather than later. But I was just saying, Chris, weren't I, or weren't we? I won't take all of the plaudits.
Not for the first time.
Normally when you sort of see the red flags, you want to potentially not lead the race, because you're the first one to hit the areas of the track that potentially are wet, and Iozzo, with no one ahead of him, hit a damp patch, asked too much of the throttle, and down he went, unfortunately.
Yeah, potentially. Now it's kind of to the counterpoint of what I was trying to say, that maybe they were battling for position. You're going to get that little 1 row extra when you see those rain flags and you think the red flag's going to wave. Thankfully, Dino Iozzo, he was leading. He will be back out on the grid provided everything is okay on his machine. And by the looks of things, he looks fine. His bike looks okay. So we will bring you information once we have it. All we can tell you for now is a red flag of this race very early in. It should be restarted, and we don't know yet how long it will last. If it is restarted, all that information will come, and once we know, you will know.
Exactly that, yeah. Hopefully with the rain falling, it's just a case of sticking some wet tyres on the bikes, changing a few settings, and out you go. Depends how heavy the rain is, of course. Heat laps coming up on the screen just there. Like I say, we will bring you news when we get it. We're just seeing on our timing screens race distance 11 laps. That was what it was beforehand, so not sure if that's what it is currently, but they're just getting the grid prepped there, aren't they? So looks like we're going to have a quick restart, chuck some wet tyres into the stock machines, and out they go for another crack at it, albeit in different conditions. We got away with it for 3 hours or 4 hours, however long it was, unfortunately, but the rain has returned. Here is it. So let's just have a listen. Just having a chat there with some members of his team. Yeah, look how easily that came around on him. As soon as he asked for the gas coming out of turn 9, the rear said, nope, I'm not having any of that. No grip whatsoever, unfortunately. And then the red flags came out very shortly after. Oh, and there was a crash in the background there as well. The 22.
A sarcastic round of applause directed over in the direction of the number 22. That is Van Rossmelen. And that is contributed to seeing the red flag waved. Having a quick little look at the numbers there, it seems Dino Iozzo will start from pole position again. I think that's the number 44 in beside it. My eyesight isn't as sharp as it used to be, but it looks like it'll be Adrian Rodriguez and Lorenzo Dalla Porta on the front row. Remember, Rodriguez came from the second row. Oh, indeed, actually, I see that my eyesight is not as sharp. I see the number 44 from P4. So Rodriguez will start where he was before.
Yeah, I think it's going to go back to the previous lap at least, or maybe just the start of the race again. It's completed just over 2 laps, and it's still saying race distance 11 laps, so
by
a
the looks
complete
of things,
restart.
it's going to be a complete restart, yeah.
So it won't be too long, I don't think, before the riders are back out. They'll do a sighting lap, come to the grid for a quick restart procedure, then they'll go for their warm-up lap, and then we'll be ready to go racing once again. In the trickier conditions, unfortunately, it looks like it's outside our commentary box window, Chris, not raining too heavily. It certainly looks towards the back of the circuit. You can see there on the screens that we're watching too, the mist is coming over from the hills. We've had that pretty much all weekend from Saturday into Sunday, and that's what caused some of the red flags yesterday in qualifying. Yesterday afternoon, the fog was really descended on us, and into the afternoon you can see the spots of rain though falling on the start-finish straight. So the rain that was coming in from that end of the circuit has now covered us here in Estoril, so the riders will put on some wet tyres.
Really see it's beginning to fall now down pit lane on your screens. Yeah, it's beginning to spit a lot down. So the race to be restarted for 11 laps. Race red flag due to track conditions. That's coming from race direction. So
how heavy that is
11
now.
laps, yeah. It's really spitting down now. This is unfortunate because we did have poor conditions throughout the weekend, but at midday, around the time of JuniorGP, we saw the track dry, conditions really improve. Elliot even had a smile on his face because he saw some sunshine. However, I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen watching at home, that smile has certainly disappeared looking at this rain.
I'm smiling, but it's a sarcastic smile, unfortunately. You can see the rain falling down there pretty heavily now. We don't want that to keep up. A little bit of drizzle is okay for the riders, but if it's torrential rain like it is, and the wind's howling as well.
Looking outside our commentary booth, we can really see it bucketing down.
It's what we call sideways rain. We see that all too often in the UK and Ireland back home, not so much in Spain and in Portugal. We did think we'd be getting better weather down here today and this weekend in Estoril, 20 kilometres outside of Lisbon, but as you can see, we are not. My second time in Estoril, and for the second time in 4 years, the weather is positively miserable. So it might be my fault, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologise.
Yeah, you're an unlucky charm, as they say. I came here last year. It was a lovely time. They told me, pack my bags. You're off to Portugal, Lisbon and Estoril for a weekend. Watch some motorcycle racing. Wonderful. What not to love? But the rain has, of course, put paid to some of my beach plans while I was here. Yeah, nonetheless, the racing has been excellent all day. We had a pretty decent start to this stock race too. Dino Iozzo recovering from a little mishap at the beginning, dropped into second place before eventually retaking the lead against Adrian Rodriguez. A little further back, that's the number 82 of Mayor, who had a good strong start as well from 10th on the grid. Pushed himself up into the top 5, top 6 by the time the red flags came out due to the rain. This was how Dino Iozzo once again took the lead off of Adrian Rodriguez, and a good battle was brewing there. Iozzo opened up a little bit of space. Lorenzo Dalla Porta tried to get the hooks into him too. Before we see, nasty crash. It really just went on him very quickly. He was absolutely helpless there, the South African. Rodriguez had the hand up, and here we can see a collision now between Van Rosmalen and I'm not quite sure who the other rider there was, but he was very unhappy with Van Rosmalen there. But not to do anything about it when you're taking invasive action and conditions are not very helpful. Shaken ahead, Iozzo shaken off that injury, that crash I should say, and will be hopeful of starting here from pole. As things stand, we have a new race of 11 laps awaiting us, but conditions are far from ideal. What started as a dry race is now turning into a very, very wet news.
Thought we were going to get away with it, but unfortunately we haven't. We were lucky to get some dry racing in today, which we didn't expect, to be fair, so we've been pretty lucky, I'd say. But yeah, unfortunately for the stock riders who were looking forward to a bit of dry track time and dry race to get some points on the board and stand on the podium, for some of them, of course, the heavens have opened and no more information coming our way as of yet. All we're getting is a wet race has been declared, of course, 11 laps coming up, but no indication as to when pit lane is going to be open and when the race is going to get underway. Let's hope it's as soon as possible, so you don't have to just listen to us waffle on for however long.
We sound quite nice, no?
That would probably do. Maybe others will disagree. Okay, quick restart procedure then. Pit lane will be open for 60 seconds. I got excited because I thought I was going to tell us when, but it doesn't. Just notifying us that it is a quick restart procedure, as you can see there. The numbers are out on the grid, indicating where the riders are going to start, but no idea when, unfortunately. So we'll continue rambling on. We saw some highlights there, Chris. A great start from Miozzo, but not the whole shot he would have wanted, and he's looking confident, isn't he, Otso? And glad to see he's up and okay after that one, because as I say, the slower high sides can be the ones that can really do you some damage. Unfortunately, it's not the crash you would want, but just hit a wet patch. I'd say it was more than a wet patch. It was raining across the entire end of that circuit.
Yeah, he was my pre-race pick for victory. It's not very original given he was starting on pole, but he's still yet to win. He's got Lorenzo Dalla Porta in the front row too, but he showed some fantastic pace. He showed some good grit to, first of all, recover from a blunder perhaps is a little bit harsh, but overshooting the starting grid. Got excellent launch off the line then, but Adrian Rodriguez took the took the lead, but Iozzo wasn't put off by that and responded quickly to regain the lead. He was the first to fall victim to rather treacherous conditions here, as we can see along the bottom. Quick restart procedure, and it looks like pit lane will reopen in around about 8 minutes time. Flashing up on the screens we have here, it says it will be open for 60 seconds at 4:25.
You were really struggling to read that one. Yeah,
for those of you listening from home, the screens are a little bit further away than some of us may like.
Yeah, 16:25. His eyesight didn't deceive him, I can confirm. 16:25, pit lane open, so yeah, 7 minutes or so time, and we will hopefully be back racing. I'm not sure why it's taking 7 minutes for them to get back out on track, but there'll obviously be a good reason for that. And then we'll have a quick restart procedure.
Here we go, I can see it now, it's on the screen in front of us. So
much easier to read. 16:25 for 60 seconds, so the riders only have a minute to get out of the box and head out on track before the end of pit lane closes. If you don't get out in time, then you will have to start from pit lane. So all the riders will know that, of course, the teams too, so don't expect anyone to be missing that cut-off. The only riders and teams who potentially will were the riders who crashed out. So hopefully for the likes of Iozzo's sake, of course, the pole sitter, wasn't too much damage to his IOM Motorsport Yamaha stock machine, and he'll be back out there to try and give it another crack. What's the weather saying outside of our commentary box window, Chris? It looks like the rain has died down slightly from these pictures.
Subsided considerably from the last time we looked out, but I doubt we'll be having any dry race. It may have stopped raining, but it's still going to be a very wet and damp track.
Yeah, it certainly is. The rain has cooled off a little bit, which is good to see, because the sideways rain that we were having with the winds as well, that would have not been nice for the riders and potentially caused even further delays. But just over 5 minutes to go and we'll have bikes back on track.
Just to take you through the starting grid, it's a second chance for some riders, but it'll be Iozzo on pole again from the latest information we've gathered. Iker Garcia had a stonking start at the beginning, dropped out of the top 8 completely. He will launch from P2 once again. Lorenzo Dalla Porta on third on P3, and he was in that victory fight, in that fight for the lead. he will have a chance to take the lead going into turn 1. Adrian Rodriguez was leading that race. A brilliant start from the second row of P4. He must do it all over again. Andy Verdoya, podium finisher in Misano, had another rider who had a poor start, as did Alex Millan, both on the second row alongside Rodriguez. They will have a second chance at a better start. Then it's Jimenez, Ruiz and Davide Fabri. Mario Mayor had worked his way through the field, as did Demis Mahela. However, they will start further back in their original grid positions. Then it is Philip Rehacek. Next row back is Ruben Romero, Archie McDonald, Marco Garcia. Marco Garcia, an established rider in this class, perhaps a little bit further back than you would have expected. Declan Van Rossmelen was one of the riders involved in that crash after Dino Iotze at turn 9 and 10. And then is Kilian Holzer, Jose Luis and Mario.
4 minutes then until the bikes are rumbling out of pit lane and back out on the track. Quick restart procedure, thankfully, and then we'll be going for the final race of the day. After being ahead of schedule the entire day, we're probably going to be running a little bit behind now, but that's part and parcel of it. We've been lucky enough to have some dry weather as we get some live pictures. My name isn't Matt Dunn, so I can't tell you what type of bird it is. It looks like he's having a nice bit of dinner though, which is good to see. At least someone's enjoying themselves out there at this moment in time. I say someone, it's not a person, is it? You know what I mean.
Yeah, at least he's making hay while it rains down here in Estoril. Well, the birds are crying out for some more rain.
Yeah, lovely weather to be a duck, isn't it, in these kind of conditions? But yeah, good to see the cameramen and women operating, getting some good pictures for us to discuss.
Braving the elements.
Braving the elements, exactly, yeah. We're potentially sound like we're complaining slightly. We're tucked up in a nice warm commentary box, so we can't complain too much. So getting ever closer to riders coming out of pit lane, just under 3 minutes. That's the 3-minute board being held up as the riders just get their final preparations going inside their respective garages. Obviously a change of conditions, a change of settings on the bike and tyres as well, of course. Change of visors, different kind of approach to a wet race than there is to a dry race in some circumstances. So it's going to provide opportunities for different riders who potentially weren't feeling as comfortable as they were in the dry to head out there and have a potentially better crack at the whip in the wet conditions. As we mentioned earlier, Chris, qualifying was in the wet and it was very close as well. We also took it from Garcia. 700ths of a second splitting them. Della Porta a 10.5 away, Adrian Rodriguez 4/10 away, and Andy Devoyer on the Honda was 6/10 away. So a closely fought qualifying session in the wet conditions. So if it can be a closely fought race, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And as mentioned, the restart procedure will breathe new life into the challenges, into the races of some of the challengers. Iotzo's shown he's quick on one lap. He's shown he can be quick in the dry, but now he's got the mixed damp conditions here, a little bit windy. So can Iotzo, how much trouble will Iotzo have in these conditions? Will Della Porta adapt? Iker Garcia had a poor start at the original lights out. He's got an opportunity now to really show what he's made of, as do the likes of Bedoya, who is on the podium in Misano in the dry. P5 here in the wet. And remember, Saturday was a very wet session as the horns go off. Pit lane about to open, so the riders are on their bikes. But yeah, the likes of Verdoya and Millan have shown that they're experienced riders in the wet can do something, and they'll have their second chance now. But 44, first man out, he was quick off the mark in race 1. Well, I call it race 1. In the opening lights out, shall we say, before the restart that's about to begin. But pit lane now open, and in about 20 seconds time.
Certainly is, yeah. The rider's taking no chances, as you'd expect, to get out of pit lane on time. This is their first laps in the wet of the day, so this is going to be a bit more than just your normal sighting lap. They're going to be seeing how wet the track is. They've had a little bit of experience of it on the slick tyres at the end of that lap when it got red flagged. So now it's all about trying to see where the track is at its most wet and where the grip is and potential lines that they can take. So this is going to be an exploratory lap for these riders in the wet conditions. They'll pull up to the grid, have a final double check with one of their team personnel on the grids, and then a few moments later they'll be on their warm-up lap. So the riders then heading out of pit lane, thankfully not too long of a stoppage here for the final race of the day, and it's going to be interesting for them and us, Chris, to see how the track is looking. Of course, it's a lot wetter than it was a few moments ago, but it doesn't look too bad. It looks like just standard wet conditions around this part of the track anyway, which is what they had to deal with yesterday, so nothing too new there. Just double checking all the riders have headed out of pit lane. I think they have on the timing screens, yes. So everyone back out there just in time as pit lane closes in 3, 2, 1. There we go. Pit lane is now closed. Quick restart procedure coming your way, and then we'll be back racing.
So just a matter of moments then before we're back up and running. The riders now are coming in towards turn 6. Long lap penalty loop is located just there. It's the back straight here of this wonderful Estoril circuit. So they're coming through sector 3 now, getting a good judge of things, and it's pretty damp all over, it would appear, Elias. It doesn't look like there are too many dry spots at all on this 4.1 kilometer of circuit, does it?
Yeah, that rain shower's definitely done its job. It's sprinkled a layer of water on this Circuito de Estoril, and in a way that's good. It can be very tricky for the riders if some parts of the circuit are wet and others are dry, or it's mixed conditions around the circuit. So to have consistent conditions across the whole layout is a good thing for these riders. As I said yesterday, where they were qualifying in wet conditions, so nothing too new to them as they just tiptoe their way around the final couple of corners. That's of course where we saw Iotso crashing out about 10 minutes ago, completing the sighting lap, and then they will go for their warm-up lap where they will get as much temperature into the tyres as possible, and then we'll be back racing. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. We were intrigued by how it would play out in the dry, and now it's going to be the opposite, how it's going to play out in the wet, because as we mentioned, obviously qualifying was wet, so the top sort of 4 and 5 showed really good pace, all within 6/10 of each other with the top 5, and then the bit of a gap to Alex Milan in qualifying. He was 1.1 seconds off, and the rest were over 1.5 seconds off. So it could be a race between the top 3, 4 in qualifying, but obviously improvements and changes will have been made overnight potentially for some of the other riders. So this is going to be an interesting one, a different race to what we're expecting, but it should be a good one nonetheless.
Absolutely. So these stock machines rolling up to their places on the grid. We're still waiting for Dino Iotso. Let's see if he can hit the mark this time around as everyone's running off track. Are we still missing Iotso? We'll take a wider shot. We're looking at Iker Garcia and Lorenzo Dalla Porta. Just having a little look at my screen. It seems a few riders are still on their way around the circuit, so we might just have another moment or two. As you can see there, we're missing Iotso from pole position. Very curious indeed. We're not sure where the South African is, but the marshals are clearing. Where's Dino Iotso, Elias?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. I'm not sure. It did say that all riders had come out of pit lane, but clearly not. We are getting some flashes on the timing screen above us of a potential stoppage for one of the riders, or a few of the riders, should I say. But we'll see how that pans out. But yes, Iotso then, unfortunately, nowhere to be seen. No information coming our way either, so unfortunately can't quite keep you up to date as much as we would hope to on this warm-up lap. But it does look like the pole sitter isn't going to be starting this race, at least from pole position anyway. Might be starting from the pit lane or the back of the grid, but can't see him down the back end of the grid either, Chris. So it looks like Iotso, after that crash, of course, that initiated the red flags in the wet conditions, potentially isn't starting this race at all. So from taking pole position and leading the race to scoring no points, potentially, is a disaster for the South African, unfortunately. We were really intrigued to see how he would go today, if he was going to pick up a race win for the first time. 4 podiums last year, a podium in Misano as well. He was looking really, really strong, was Iotso. But it does look like he's not starting this race from pole position, so that's a bit of drama then to bring you, unfortunately. And if we get any information further as to why that is, then we'll of course bring it to you, but nothing as of yet.
Yeah, very curious indeed. There we go. Dino Iotso is going from pit lane. Bizarre, to say the least. Our pole sitter starts from pit lane. I can only assume maybe there was something wrong with the bike after bringing it back in after his crash. Well, he's being moved forward. Here is the number 22, Van Rossmalen. Both of them are not leaving pit lane, but just lining up on the little mini grid they have inside the exit. Bizarre indeed. But Iotso has shown he's got good pace. So it'll be interesting to see, can he fight his way through the pack here in the Stock Championship race. 32 riders strong. It's a lot of work to do to get into the points. And it certainly leaves an intriguing proposition. Who can challenge this rider then? Lorenzo Dalla Porta, the number 48 Misano race winner, starting P3. Iker Garcia is the only rider ahead of him. Garcia had a tough start in P2, from P2 and the opening lights out. So interesting to see, can anyone challenge Dalla Porta to come restart the race lights out?
Yeah, so clearly Iotso's machine needed a little bit more work doing in order to get out of pit lane on time. So unfortunately for Iotso, he will have to start from pit lane. If he picks up points from there, it'll be a job well done as the riders just take their time to get to the grids.
Do you think potentially, because Van Rossmalen, his teammate, was in there too, do you think potentially they've decided to hold on and risk slick tyres?
It's a good point, Chris. Yeah, potentially. Wasn't spotting the tyres. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I'd be surprised, but it is an option. Right, here we go then. The final race of the day is underway once again, and it's a great start from the outside of row 1 from Dalla Porta, but not as good as from Rodriguez on the number 44, the FS Racing Yamaha. What a start again from the number 44. Tentatively does it down into the braking zone, into turn 1 around the outside. That's Bedoya on the Honda. A little bit of contact there as well on the outside of turn 1. Once these bikes pass them by, there you go, you can see Otso and his teammate there exiting pit lane to start the race. 11 laps to try and catch and get into the points.
Rodriguez then, with nobody blocking him in front, rinses and repeats as he goes into P1 from lights out. Iotso and Van Rossmalen both out. Great start too for the number 26 on that orange machine, Francisco Ruiz, but he has dropped down a little bit now. Lorenzo Dalla Porta, you see how steady and careful they are going through here. That's at turn 4, coming onto the back straight now to king through 5. It is Rodriguez and Dalla Porta who have opened up a little bit of a gap to Ruiz in 3rd place. Oh no, it's the number 25. It's not Dalla Porta, it's Verdoya who's gone down, and you just see how that snapped underneath him with minimal warning. And look at that, it's smoking that machine. That Honda is on fire in the rain.
Oh, disaster then for Bedoya, clearly pushing hard in the open exchanges in the tricky conditions, and it just washed away from him on the braking zone into turn 6. We've seen that a few times already this weekend in the wet conditions. It's easily done, asking too much of the front brake too soon. The front tyre not up to temperature, or fully up to temperature anyway. Down he goes. Good to see him back up on his feet, of course, but Bedoya then, the rider who finished 2nd place over in Misano, is down and out early doors. Good to see him walking away because that was a fast one, but yeah, he's really annoyed with himself. That's a costly error. Going up the inside, carrying a lot more speed, wasn't he, into the corner at turn 6. I think just pushing too hard too soon, unfortunately. And on the left-hand side of the tyre, the part of the tyre that's not been used before that, unless it was at turn 4, of course. That's the only time it would have been used. So a cold left-hand part of the tyre, and Bedoya is down and out.
Yeah, touch of the brakes and he's down and out, but that hand, Francisco Ruiz has closed that gap out to Adrian Rodriguez pretty quickly, as we see some pieces fall off there, tear-offs I think they are. Ruiz right over the tail of the 44 of the SF racing machine that Rodriguez is riding. So an interesting battle of bike in the background as well. I just see has gone wide and looks to have retired. Is Rodriguez thinking about a move up the inside here? No, they're very tentative. That's the number 33 of Rehacek, I think, has gone down. I'm not sure. It seems a technical problem more than anything as he looks to rejoin the race. You never know what could happen here. But back out front, Adrian Rodriguez is leading ahead of Ruiz. Borja Jimenez has fought his way up the 3rd position. Iker Garcia launched 2nd. He is in 4th with Alex Millan. Also there, the number 23 has actually just overtaken the Spaniard, his fellow Spaniard, Iker Garcia. So they are your lead 5.
The lead quintet has formed then at the front, and a gap has opened up to Lorenzo Dalla Porta, who's currently running in 6th place. He'll appear in the top of your screens just there. There he is, a little bit of a lonely P6 so far for the championship leader. Clearly not pushing too hard in these conditions. He'll have seen Bedoya go down the road, wouldn't he, at turn 6 on the opening lap, and that was a warning shot for the rest of the riders as well, not to push too hard too soon. And Lorenzo Dalla Porta has, of course, ties to aspirations, and in these tricky conditions, that's a good move there. Oh, out of the seat from Ruiz there on the 26. That's where we saw Iotso crash just before the red flags. Treacherous conditions for these riders to deal with, really tricky, not much heat into the tyres, so they've got to be a little bit cautious, and a few warning shots already on lap 2. But yeah, Dalla Porta would have seen the crash of Bedoya, and the Italian rookie in this class, of course, he'll be wanting to just get some points on the board and leave Estoril with a healthy amount of points, as the number 44 of Rodriguez has a look behind and sees a face full of the number 26 of Ruiz.
So it is Ruiz over Millan in P3. Ruiz having a little look upside. It's not going to be close enough, and I think they're going to be super cautious. Not so much for Borja Jimenez. He's going to block past Otto Ruiz, and there's a little tap at the back there. I'm not really sure what that was about from the number 91 of Jimenez. Just to give you an update, Dino Iotso is already up into P18. So fastest lap there from Millan, but P18 for Dino Iotso, so points are definitely on the card for the South African, and should be pole sitter, who started from pit lane.
Yeah, after crashing out, all you can really hope for when you start from pit lane is to pick up as many points as possible. So anywhere inside the top 15 will be job done in terms of this race for Iotso, but of course it won't be job well done in terms of the weekend, because it promised so much more for the South African. Now then, the 23 of Millan is setting a good pace here, chasing Rodriguez at the front. He's already got past Ruiz on the 26 bike. The 23 of Millan now is challenging around the outside of Rodriguez down into turn 7. That's not going to work that time around, but plenty of laps and time left to try and get into the race lead. This is Lorenzo Dalla Porta on the 48 machine, a name familiar to most, I'm sure. Watching on, he's just cruising around so far in P6. As I say, if he can leave with a P6, as we see a change of the lead, it is Millan then. He got a move stuck, assumingly at turn 9. We've seen plenty of passes happen there this weekend, especially today, of course, in the races. But it is still your top 5 that are locked together. Going to get a replay here. It is up the inside at turn 9. Job done. Good move.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Ballsy move up there. It's a blind entry to the right hand side, so brilliant stuff from Millan. On the podium here in Estoril 2023, his only podium so far in the Stock Championship, but things are boding well for the number 23 so far, leading this down the front straight. Just recorded the best lap of the race. However, Adrian Rodriguez responds and takes P1 back off his hands. Francisco Ruiz in 3rd. Just keeping an eye, the fastest lap of the race has been set at 2:03.283 by the rider who has just entered P15, Dino Iotso.
It's a case of what could have been, unfortunately, for Iotso, but he is up inside the points already.
That's Van Rossmelen this time who's gone down. Second crash of the day for Van Rossmelen.
Just trying to figure out where that is. Can't quite make out this time around. Good to see that he is up on his feet and okay though. Iotso already up into P12 then through the first sector of this lap. He's setting a pace that no one else can get near so far, but he's down.
He's at
in
least
P12.
a second clear on the last lap, so he is flying us at the moment. So he's certainly not out of contention just yet for stronger finish. I mean, he's lapping nearly a second and a half, almost 2 seconds better than anyone else at the moment.
Just hear someone going down in our ears. I'm not sure if you heard that watching on from home as well, but we definitely heard the sound of a bike skidding along the tarmac. Not got confirmation as to who it is or where it is just yet, or whether our ears deceived us, but it didn't. And it's Dino Iozzo, and that, I can tell you, is turn 6. Obviously, Iozzo was pushing on. He needed to push on, didn't he, to try and claim the points, and that's another nasty one. The rear flicks around on him, Iozzo. I thought it was going to be a front end tuck, as we've seen Vidoya do or have down at turn 6. But again, good to see he's back up on his feet. That's a nasty one. The rear just came out on him, trail braking, maybe using too much rear braking to turn 6, trying to get it stopped, pushing on, was on another fast lap. Was the South African building his way up into the top 10, but it's going to be 0 points after a promising weekend for the South African. Disappointing.
Yeah, bizarre day in the end for Iozzo. Not sure why he went in pit lane. He was lapping very quickly there, but just a bit too quickly for the conditions, it would seem. Disappointment and a big lesson learned for the South African, as Rodriguez has a little bit of payback, you would say, for Alex Millan. He dives up the inside of the corkscrew and now is in a 3-4. He's got about 4 tenths in his back pocket to his compatriot. Borja Jimenez then is running in 3rd place. Francisco Ruiz has dropped 5th with Iker Garcia in between the two in 4th.
Rodriguez, the only rider across the board in the 203s last time around, a 203.5 compared to Mian's 204.0, as he takes a long look behind and a long look across, and he sees a face full of Mian on the number 23. Massimo Coppa, unfortunately, has crashed on the number 29 machine. Let's hope he's okay. But we've got another change for the lead. Alex Millan has taken the lead now from Rodriguez, assumingly from Rodriguez's long look around. He's, I was going to say comfortable, staying in 2nd position, but straight away fights back down the hill at turn 7 to lead, but not for long, because Millan's going to get the cut back into turn 8. However, he's not going to have the race lead for long, because Rodriguez is going to have the inside line, not quite at turn 10. Good battling though for the lead here in the stock.
Yeah, a great battle, and while they are going wheel to wheel with one another, you can see the number 91 come into picture. That's Borja Jimenez, who set the fastest sector 1 on this lap. He is now in the victory fight, as is Iker Garcia. So as long as Millan and Rodriguez are happy to battle, I think Jimenez and Garcia will be pretty happy to follow and just wait for their moment to strike. And there is a mistake, as Rodriguez will now assume the lead. Millan runs it wide and will drop the 4th position. This is exactly what I'm saying. Jimenez and Garcia just biding their time, and all of a sudden both are now on the podium.
Not quite sure what happened there to Millan, but if I had to guess, he's lost the rear slightly coming out of the Ayrton Senna Parabolica at the end of the lap here in Estoril. Hopefully we get a replay of what happened, but he did manage to stay on board, of course, but he has slid from P1 down to P4 over the line. Progress check on Lorenzo Della Porta. He's still in 6th place. Got a comfortable-ish gap behind him to Mayor. Just over a second and a half to the number 82. So, yeah, Della Porta just doing all he can. Not got the pace of the leaders, but he's staying upright. The riders behind him are pretty much matching his pace, so he's doing well to just keep on hold of a top 6 so far.
So this is the battle for 1st position. It's Adrian Rodriguez who holds the initiative. He's got a new contender. He's been battling Alex Millan, but now this time he is going to be battling Borja Jimenez. Jimenez striking up inside turn 6 to take the lead. He's just set the fastest lap of the race at 2:02.868, and Jimenez is wasting no time. He's feeling pretty fast in these mixed conditions, and he's just been sent flying from the bike. Oh, nobody is safe out there. Everyone is falling at any given moment. And Jimenez had just come into the lead of the race, and right in the thick of victory battle, sends himself flying from his machine.
The commentator's curse there from Mr. Jordan.
It must be about my 15th today. I'm not going to say anything else, I think, for the rest of the race.
No, please do take the heat off me. Yeah, hopefully that he was all okay, though. He was just taking his time to get up onto his feet there. Was Jimenez. hopefully he is all okay in the gravel trap. He's still down. Hopefully he's just had the wind knocked out of his sails and it's nothing too serious. We're going to get another replay of it here. So he'd just taken the lead, going down into turn 7 and just pushing on a little bit too hard, you have to feel. The rear end steps out pretty suddenly, just as you're getting onto the power. He thought he'd made his way around the corner and was eyeing up the apex at turn 8, getting a good exit through turn 7. He's back up on his feet. That is good to see, limping away. But hopefully he's all okay, and given another 5-10 minutes he's going to be all okay. Back up on his feet is the main thing. But that's left a little bit of a gap at the front then. Who's leading now? It's Rodriguez still, with Ruiz and Mian, who we're looking at on the 26 and 23 machines. Just got just under 2-second gap to bridge now, so not sure what happened there. But the 26 is leading the way in the podium fight for now and telling Mian to stick behind him. I think Mian, oh no, he is going to listen this time around with 4.5 laps to go.
Yeah, Rodriguez set the fastest lap of the race last time out at 2:02.745. So that has helped him. Iker Garcia's got onto the coattails, but it's helped the two of them break away from Ruiz and Mian. And as you can see, it's these 4 riders have a country mile of space between them. Lorenzo Dalla Porta, the Misano winner, is riding in 5th place as he's struggling to adapt to the conditions, not showing the pace we all know that he has, but he might be just thinking in a bigger picture a little bit, playing the longer game. P5 in conditions he's not 100% comfortable in. May not be the worst result as we see Rodriguez and Garcia. We've seen it a few times, the little look over the shoulder in this race, seeing where everyone else is. It seems Ruiz has managed to close that gap a little bit. He has more than closed it a little bit. He is now right on the tail of Iker Garcia. Alex Mian, though, still a little further away, but given what we've seen so far in this stock race, anything can happen, including Garcia making a move into turn 1. Will he be close enough? Don't think so, as they take a more cautious approach, which Ruiz might actually make the move up the inside of the number 11 here for P2, and he does so successfully. Will he hold on to it, or will Garcia strike back on the cutback? No, brilliant stuff from Ruiz to make that stick.
Yeah, good move from Ruiz, and he sets the fastest lap of the race to go with it on that last lap at 2:01.8. No one else is in the 2:02, so a brilliant lap time from the number 26. You can see there last lap comparisons between Rodriguez and Garcia. Rodriguez slightly quicker, and Garcia, of course, relinquishing 2nd place in the process to Ruiz. So Ruiz then is now the one to watch after sitting in 3rd place and tapping the rear end of his machine. Look at the drive he got out of turn 4 as well. Curve of VIP, not quite enough to get past the race leader of Rodriguez, but I can bet my bottom dollar he's going to potentially have a go down into turn 6. Late on the brakes, he thinks about it, shows a wheel, but not quite this time around. But with 3.5 laps to go, Ruiz certainly looks like he's the most comfortable and got the most pace out there to hand. But Rodriguez still doing well to hold on to the lead, and is the number 11 of Garcia going to have a look up the inside of Ruiz now? Yes, he has, so he returns the favour from turn 1. Ruiz back down to P3.
Yeah, Rodriguez very much looking in the groove here. He was out in the victory fight. Race 1, shall we call it, before the red flag, as Iker Garcia has a little wider line going in to 8 and 9 there. But Rodriguez looking very much in the groove here. He'll be hoping Garcia and Ruiz keep chopping and changing behind them, taking chunks out of each other in the wet weather. That should give him a little bit more breathing space out front. As things stand, it's an all-Spanish front 4, with Mian just waiting in behind for any potential mistakes from the 3-0 in ahead of him.
Out of the Ayrton Senna Parabolica, turn 13 we come then, and Mian is on for a good lap here. He's setting personal bests. It looked like he was out of the podium fight for a while there, Mian, but a good lap, a 2:02.0, 8 tenths quicker than anyone else in front of him. So best part of a second, Mian has closed in, and now he's only 9 tenths off the lead. So an important lap at this stage of the race for Mian, who was just dropping out of contention, but he's clawed his way back up. Now he's still P4, of course, but he's only got a half-second advantage to the podium fight, as Ruiz then picks back up into 2nd place on the 26. As I say, he was looking the most comfortable, but then slipped down to 3rd place again. And now it's all changed, because Mian is now looking like he's got the most pace to hand, as the podium places and the top 4 close right back up again, with 2 and 3/4 laps to go. They fire it out of turn 4 through the fast right-hander kink of turn 5 and then down to turn 6. Rodriguez again looks behind him. A little bit of debris on track there or something fluttering about. Not too disturbing for the riders. But Chris, after it being split by about 2 seconds a lap ago, it's back down to 0.6 of a second between the top 4. This is anyone's win.
Yeah, absolutely. Any of these 4, take your pick. Rodriguez is doing most of the leading, but it can change in an instant. We've seen that already multiple times in this race today. We have a yellow flag. That's because Brooks has gone down at turn 3, I think it is. Disappointing, and for the British rider, he's been sent flying. Another rider, Nuristegi, caught up in that as well. There's nothing he could do. He just got caught in between us. Oh, that's poor, because they were both on for good results, well inside the top 10. He got absolutely sent flying there. Wow, and landed on the head. Thankfully, he's up and okay, and Nuristegi's managed to avoid him. Back at the front, though, as you said, any of these 4 riders could win it. Adrian Rodriguez has been doing the majority of the leading. That seems to suit him. Francisco Ruiz, though, has had a couple good sectors on this lap. Let's see how he gets on. What's the difference between them? Sector 4, while Ruiz posts a PB, not just a PB, but a best race lap so far. 2:01.815, a 2:01.981 from Adrian Rodriguez. So Ruiz a 10th quicker as they open up a little bit of a gap to 3rd place. Lorenzo Dalla Porta remains your championship leader. He is running in 5th place rather sensibly, not taking too many risks. He's kind of seems in a world of his own there. Lonely ride to 5th place, but picking up 11 crucial championship points. Back at the front then is a battle between Rodriguez and Ruiz. Iker Garcia and Millan also fighting for that final podium place. Do any of those riders in 3rd or 4th have anything for the race leaders in 1st and 2nd? Ruiz and Rodriguez are going blow for blow on best sectors and best laps as things stand. We've lost another rider. Not quite sure where he's gone now. That's at the final corner and he's been flipped off it again. Urastegi had actually managed to remount and join back inside the top 15, but that is certainly his day done. A 2nd crash in quick succession.
Top 4 then locked together once again. As soon as the gap sort of opens up, half a lap later, Constantina's back up, and Millan, after again looking like he was just losing touch slightly, is back to the rear end of 3rd place Garcia, and he's just set his personal best sector 2 as well, and sector 3. All these riders now pushing on. Of course, the conditions aren't worsening. The riders getting more confident in their packages and the machines around the track. They know where the grip is, they know where to find time and not where to lose time as well. But coming around the parabolica for the final time will be next time around, of course. For the penultimate time it is this time, as we head on to the final lap. The 44 of Rodriguez is going to lead us onto it, but not by much, because Ruiz into the slipstream. He goes on to the final lap. The crew members there cheering on their riders. It's anyone's race here between the top 3, you feel. Ruiz not making a move into turn 1, close over the line, less than a 10th between them. Millan looks like he's out of podium contention now, barring anything happening in this lead group on this final lap.
Yeah, we saw the crew members getting the message across. Fire in the belly, ice in the mind for the top 3. Maintain focus, but have that desire. Make sure you want it enough, more than the other person. It's Adrian Rodriguez, though, leading as he has been for the last number of laps. Francisco Ruiz did post a 2-minute flat 4:73 for the best race lap of the last on the penultimate lap. But Ruiz has got some questions to answer here, or to pose to Rodriguez, but he's also got some to answer. Iker Garcia now swarming all over his rear end. Will the number 11 make a move? It seems both of them are maybe just a bit too far away from Rodriguez to make a move for the victory, so it's about deciding the podium places.
This is a fantastic final lap coming in from Rodriguez. He was under pressure, wasn't he, at the start of this lap, but he's setting a really, really good pace, and the riders behind Ruiz and Garcia don't really have a chance to pounce. They've not got that much in them left. They've not got many corners left to try and make a move. This is where we were expecting the race to come down to. That's Garcia up the inside of Ruiz. Is he going to make it stick? Dives at the inside, the number 11. Can he hang it around the outside, just out of the seat? No, he drops back down to third place, but this battling away is going to leave the number 44 clear. If he rounds the final two corners, that's turn 12 negotiated. Garcia back up into second place ahead of Ruiz. So can Ruiz respond around the Parabolica for the final? Time we go on the right-hand side of the tyre for an eternity and get it straightened up and pointed out, and it's all about the run to the line for second place, but it is the number 4 of Rodriguez who is going to win here in Estoril. Fantastic last lap, a fantastic race from Rodriguez. He wins here in Estoril, and Garcia beats Ruiz to second place. So Rodriguez wins from Garcia and Ruiz. What a last lap that was from the number 44. Pulled out 1.2 seconds on that final lap, and here is Lorenzo Dalla Porta. He comes across the line in P5. Good points gained for Lorenzo Dalla Porta, not in the podium hunt, unfortunately for the Italian, but good points gained on a day that other riders didn't pick up points. So job done in terms of points gained for the Italian. But what a race out front we had, Chris, and what a last lap from Rodriguez.
A simply sensational last lap. A 2-minute flat from Adrian Rodriguez is the best lap of the race, and what a time to do it under pressure from Garcia and Ruiz. He pulled the pin and gave himself a 1.2 second cushion coming over the line. Sensational stuff from Rodriguez. Garcia only had what, just less than 100th, just over 100th between Garcia and Ruiz. Sensational last sector battle between Ruiz and Garcia for P2 and P3. Alex Mian was on the podium here last season. Just misses out this time around, but picks up some crucial championship points, and Dalla Porta likewise, as we seem to have lost one or two riders on the final lap.
If anyone out there is watching, that is how to do a last lap in a motorcycle race. Set it your best lap on the final lap of the race, a 2-minute dead compared to Iker Garcia's 2-minute 0.7. Ruiz set a 2:01.2, so 1.2 seconds gained over Ruiz was Rodriguez, and Garcia did just enough to hold on to P2. A great battle unfolding in the final two podium places. Rodriguez was a little bit too far up the road for Garcia and Ruiz to contend with, but it was a great battle unfolding between the two. Francisco Ruiz will be happy with third place. It looked like in the closing exchanges he was the rider boasting the most speed, but that didn't quite come to fruition, unfortunately, for the number 26 rider. But after finishing P5 in Misano to stand on the podium next time out in Estoril, signals a job well done for Ruiz and his team. So Ruiz will be happy with that, and clearly happy, of course, as you should be after winning a race, is Rodriguez on the number 44. We'll be hearing from him very shortly. He'll be down in Parc Fermé chatting to Chris. There's your championship standings. We'll do a full run through in about 10 minutes time of the championship standings, but Lorenzo Dalla Porta leaves Estoril in the first two rounds with a 9-point advantage, as Rodriguez pulls into pit lane, gives it the beans on the throttle. Not normally what you want here as a team manager or the crew. You want to save those engines for the season, but we'll let him off. I'm sure the team will as well. You've got to celebrate wins. That's exactly what they are doing. Super, super pleased, of course, for Rodriguez are the team. And as I say, fantastic racing. It really was from everyone at the front. Mian in fourth place, finishing 2.2 seconds off the win eventually. Didn't quite have enough to stick with the race leaders. Of course, he made that mistake coming out of the Ayrton Senna Parabolica with a few laps to go, and was never able to fully claw back the disadvantage that he'd brought upon himself. But a good P4 nevertheless for Mian. The top four were in a league of their own. Dalla Porta finishing 18 seconds away from the win. So the top four really were operating on a different level today in the tricky conditions. Another fantastic day's racing in the JuniorGP paddock, as it always is. 6 races now done and dusted here in Estoril. Sure, we'll be returning next year to this classic Portuguese layout for some more action. But next up for the stock riders and everyone else is a trip to Barcelona. Hopefully the weather will be a little bit nicer there than it has been this weekend in Estoril. Rodriguez just debriefs with his team. Don't need a translation for that, do you? Vamos. Very pleased indeed. Yeah, that's what happened to Mian then, coming out the final corner. Just got it lit up on the rear end. Bit of a mistake, but managed to get back down behind the bubble. Didn't lose too much time, and of course it could have been so much worse. At least he stayed upright, but that was probably a little bit of a scare coming into the final half of the race. Look at the advantage that Rodriguez had at the end of the race. 1.2 seconds across the line. Fastest lap of the race on the last lap. That is how you win a motorcycle race. What a performance from the SF Racing rider. And that will give him an abundance of confidence heading to Barcelona and into the rest of the season. And we can head down to Parc Ferme very shortly. In fact, now, because Chris is ready with Rodriguez.
Adrian, first time winner of the Stock Championship. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling incredible, but I work very hard in my house with my trainers, and I'm very happy for this win. I dedicate for my father overall. My mother is all my dedication for ellos, para ellos.
Vale, por todos sus aficionados en España, ¿cómo te sientes?
Es un sentimiento increíble porque he trabajado muy duro sin ningún tipo de medio para poder llegar a estar aquí. Voy de carrera en carrera y es un esfuerzo muy grande y es un sentimiento increíble el que siento ahora mismo. Y a pesar de estos momentos difíciles que estoy pasando, es muy reconfortable y me dan muchas ganas de seguir para adelante y dedicar sobre todo esta victoria a mi padre, que le gustaría estar aquí viéndolo y nada, ya está, increíble.
Gracias y felicidades.
Gracias, muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Top stuff from Adrian Rodriguez. And this is how it played out. This was before the rain came. It came very shortly indeed as well. Iotso on pole position, the South African on the number 13 machine. The rain flags were out pretty much straight away in the stock race, and then it took a couple of laps, still dry conditions, until the riders hit the rain at the end of the second lap. That was Iotso going down. Thankfully it was all okay. His teammate going down as well in a collision there. Thankfully all riders were okay. And then after a brief stoppage, the race restarted in wet conditions. Tentative opening few corners, of course, for the riders out there. That's Iotso in the background, getting his race underway from pit lane. Wasn't able to get out of pit lane in time. The 1 minute signal that you get, he didn't get out in time, and that was Bedoya crashing down at turn 6 on the opening lap. A fast getaway from Bedoya, but clearly pushing a little bit too much, too soon, and down he went. Good to see him back up on his feet though. But Bedoya, who finished second place over in Misano, remember, no points scored as the battle at the front continued to rage on, and it was a fascinating battle as well. Mian was up there on the 23 machine, briefly taking the lead. Rodriguez biting back, and it was changing lap by lap, corner by corner. It was the top two. That was Mian making a mistake out of the final corner, getting it lit up on the rear end of his Yamaha machine, dropped from P1 to P4. And then drama unfolded. The 91 of Borja Jimenez crashing out just after he got the race leads. That was Brooks going down the road, unfortunately, for the British rider. But back at the front, a fascinating battle was unfolding. That was on the final lap. Rodriguez had pulled the pin on the final lap, set the fastest lap of the race on the final lap to win by 1.2 seconds. Garcia pipped Ruiz to the post to claim P2, with Ruiz having to settle for P3 overall, with Mian who was in that lead group as well. 2.2 seconds off the victory in 4th place. An all-Spanish podium to finish the day here in Estoril. It looks like the rain has stopped, thankfully, for the guys out there. So that's a positive at least. It's been a great day's racing, as always, in the JuniorGP paddock. If you stuck around for the whole, what have we been on air for? 6 hours, more or less. Top job. Hope you've enjoyed it. We certainly have. It's been a great day's racing. And not me personally, but we get to do it all over again in a couple of weeks' time as well. The riders will be handed trophies. Mr. Jean-Marc Desnoyers doing the honours on the podium. The SF Racing team member there, lofting the race winner's trophy. A first for Adrian Rodriguez. Ruiz celebrating a P3. Job done. A good job from Ruiz. His first podium of the season. Garcia collecting 2nd place. Very happy indeed, of course, as you should be. And then the winner's trophy coming the way of Adrian Rodriguez. Very shortly indeed, his first win in the stock class in JuniorGP paddock. Plenty of celebrations will be going on tonight up and down the grid from each class as we get set for the Spanish national. The Spanish national anthem them, I'm sure, familiar to you all who are big motorcycle racing fans. Country steeped with talent and history in motorcycle racing, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon, does it, for that part of the Iberian Peninsula. Here are the final results. Confirm them for the stock race here in Estoril. Adrian Rodriguez, your race winner, from Iker Garcia and Francisco Ruiz. Alex Millan, a close 4th, with Dalla Porta holding on to the title lead in 5th. Demis Mihalia, a good ride from the Italian into P6. Neil Roig in 7th. Mario Mayor, Kevin Quintal up inside the top 9. Ruben Romero in 10th with Gonzalo Ribeiro, Davide Fabri, Carlos Valle, Archie Bob McDonald and Joan Santos completing your point scorers in the race. A difficult race in the end, of course. 11 laps in the tricky conditions. There's a few riders, some leading contenders as well, fell foul of the conditions, including the rider who finished 2nd place last time around, as we're about to see. Verdoya on the Team Honda Laglice machine. There he is on the opening lap, hit the front and unfortunately crashed out. Dino Iozzo, what promised so much for the South African, unfortunately ends at turn 6 as well, as he was pushing on into the top 10 from a pit lane start. So unfortunate endings for some, better for others. Lorenzo Della Porta then, 36 points, 9 points clear of Francisco Ruiz, heading to Barcelona. Adrian Rodriguez with his win is up into 3rd place on 25 points, level with Iker Garcia, with Mario Mayor rounding out your top 5. Andy Verdoya there, 20 points from Mazzano, slips down to P6 in the overall standings, but of course it's early days yet in the championship chase. Nothing to worry about too much at this stage. Demis Mihalia up into the top 10 with a good points haul in Estoril. Archibald McDonald there, the Australian, up into 11th. Borja Jimenez in 12th, and these are the other riders who have scored points. Davide Fabri, Stola, Valle, Santos and Coppa, who have all scored points in 2024. But the stock race belongs to Rodriguez. What a victory for the number 44. That's exactly how you do it in the wet conditions. On the final lap, set the fastest lap of the race and go on to win the first race of your career. So thanks for tuning in. coverage done here from Estoril. It's been a cracking day's racing, and we will see you next time out in Barcelona in a couple of weeks. Ciao for now.